Lights! Now! I am an Antichrist! I am an Antichrist! Don't know what I want, but I know how to get it. I want to destroy!
Carry on!
Hello and welcome to the Loading Podcast, a podcast where your favourite bands chat video games, talk stories and everything in between. This episode is a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater special. I think when we're talking about the relationship between video games and music, it doesn't get much bigger than what Tony Hawk's Pro Skater did. I mean, the series introduced an entire generation to their favourite bands and artists, and we have a very special guest on for this episode. But first, allow us to introduce ourselves for those of you that don't already know. My name is Matt Ombler, and with me is my co-host Matt West. West, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So we have just had a fantastic chat with your vocalist, Ben,
Yes.
about the impact of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series soundtracks, basically chatting about how iconic those games were, how they inspired a generation, introduced them to the new favourite bands and artists. And I think one of the coolest things for me is no matter if anybody is like our age, like 29 kind of thing, like in the late 20s, and you mentioned Tony Hawk's Pro Skater to them and they've played it, it's like, yeah, I discovered this band and that band and that band. And just the impact of that series can't really be ignored.
Yeah, I don't think it can be understated how much of a catalyst that game and that series was for culture in general throughout our youth anyway, at least. Like, I don't think that we'd be doing what we're doing now or listening to the music or dressing how we do now, even that far in, as if it weren't for these games.
And I think for me as well, it was my kind of not big break, but one of the first articles I wrote for like a proper outlet was Vice. And the first article I wrote was about how the music in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater introduced me to my new favourite bands and artists. Yeah. And it's cool because whenever I see that story get shared on social media now, the amount of comments from people who are just like talking about the bands that they discovered through the game, whether that's like AFI or Body Jar or Goldfinger or System of a Down or whoever else. It's just all of these stories about people kind of going, right, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 showed me this band, or 2 happened at this moment in my life and I got into skateboarding because of it. Like, and we've had some cool comments in from people as well, haven't we, on the Insta, which is really nice.
Yeah, so we put out a little story asking people to just send in if they had any stories about the Tony Hawk series, what it means to them. So we're just going to read through a few now. It's Becky Yoda sent in a little story saying it was the first game that she was able to play with her older brother. Always played games that were one player or too difficult for me. I remember playing Graffiti and Horse for hours. Don't talk much anymore, and it's one of my favourite memories that I have with him. So a nice little anecdote, isn't it? I think everyone feels the same, especially with like split screen multiplayer back in the day, like having to sit in the same room. It's like it's not the same anymore, is it?
No.
And then we had
what else are we getting?
Well, we're saving the best till last. We've got one more, and then I've got it was the best submission, and it's one of our mates that sent it in. It fucking creased me when I read it. But first, not to downplay this, James Kappa, J Kappa on Instagram sent in. It's the game that he basically is just echoing the sentiment that we just said, just saying how it introduced him to a lot of new bands, how it is basically a gateway thing, and it captured the zeitgeist of being a punk rock teenager as well, as what he said, which is basically how it felt for us as well, I imagine.
100%.
And then the last story is coming from our mate Bano, who plays in the band Malevolence, and he just messaged me saying, once left Bob Burnquist in a store for 2 weeks with cheats on at our old practice room. And that just made me howl. Just leaving the fucking PlayStation on for 2 entire weeks and just leaving Bob Burnquist in a fucking hand plant or something. Fucking
You used to do
mad.
that though back in the day, didn't you? Like, just used to leave games on and stuff like overnight. You couldn't save them, or you'd be racking up combos just to see how big a combo you could get and if you'd break the game or whatever. But
I had a mate who, sorry to cut you off there very quickly. I had a mate who's not with us anymore, sadly, who his memory card broke when he was playing Final Fantasy VII, so he would just leave it on as he was playing. So he'd go to school, come back and just hope that someone hadn't turned it off or something. He used to hide his PlayStation so his mum wouldn't turn it off when he was in school.
Oh, how far through the game did he make it?
I'm not sure. I don't even know if he ever finished it, but fucking hell, the fact that he'd be playing it for like 6 hours and then just leave it on hoping that it wouldn't just turn off.
Risk after 50 hours of leveling up, someone could just switch it off or something.
That's like, start again.
The stress, I couldn't do that.
No, me neither. Fuck that.
Right. Without further ado then, let's jump into our first proper episode featuring Ben Barlow, who is the vocalist of the band Neck Deep. Hope you guys really enjoy it. It was a really cool chat. If you haven't already, please like us on social. You can find us at loading_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the social feeds. We've got loads of cool stuff coming up that we're really excited to announce soon. And yeah, thank you all for listening, and we hope you enjoy this week's episode. Right, let's jump straight in then. Ben, hello.
Hi. Hello.
How the hell are you doing? It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to finally meet you too. I'm very good. I'm not that pleased to meet you, West, obviously.
No, we've met a few times.
Seen too much of you recently. Nah, I'm joking. Pleased to be here. To be fair, we could be doing more, but we haven't at the minute. But we are just off the back of some fun escapades, just doing download and all that. So kind of just on a bit of a come down from that, really. Not like a literal come down, but like an emotional sort of reality come down from it. So just back to playing video games and watching football and Love Island, really.
That must be one hell of a come down though, because Download is one hell of a show to kind of like come back with after not playing for so long. How was it for you guys, like Ben and West?
Weird, nerve-wracking. I was shitting it before we went on.
Yeah, same to be honest. I'm sure I've said it to pretty much everyone I saw there, but like it felt like 5 minutes before show. All day. It was just like this constant like get me on stage. And then when we finally did get on stage, it was like nothing had ever changed really. It was like, oh sick, yeah, it's like we did this yesterday kind of thing. Like it all just came back, and yeah, thankfully it all came together, because I think all of us were a bit like, oh god, I wonder how it's going to be on the day, you know. I haven't played a show in 2 years, like, but we practiced pretty hard, and you know, we do it for a living. We are good at what we do. I think that was the overwhelming reminder of the weekend, was like, oh yeah, we are good at what we do, actually. Yeah, we don't just sit at home and do nothing all the time. So yeah, it was good. Really, really good. Just making plans now for more of it. We've got some other stuff later on in the summer, and you know, hopefully get back to touring full whack sort of end of this year, start of next year. So
hopefully so.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
What's the sitch now then? Like, obviously we can't predict 100% what's going to happen, but do you think now, kind of, unless there's some new mad variant or whatever else, do you think it's pretty clean sailing from here on? And are we starting to see a return to norm?
I mean, we're booked in for Reading and Leeds in the summer, and I'm still skeptical. Like, that's in like 2 months, and I'm still a bit like, I don't know. I think
for later in the year, maybe. I don't know. It seems like all the noise that the government's making at the minute is they're kind of just going, fuck it. Once it gets to a certain point, like this July thing, they're sort of just going, whatever. Like, everyone who's... I think it'll go back to some semblance of normalcy. I mean, I don't know what the data's been like coming back from Download, but none of us got the Rona, like, so you would... And, you know, I was out shaking hands with a few people and that in the crowd, so...
Mate, that was weird, like being there and just seeing mates that you've not seen in 2 years and just being allowed to go, you all right? Like, give them a hug and stuff, and then it not feel weird. Was it
still a bit like,
I think
once you get the first few out of the way, the atmosphere was great. I think... Yeah. Yeah, I think it was sick. I don't think people cared. Well, that being said, from our perspective, we could see like a sea of people, like 10,000 people or whatever there. So we were like, wow, well, that's amazing. But then apparently from the crowd's perspective, because like we had friends and girlfriends and stuff there, and they said like, oh, in the actual crowd, people were like sort of distancing themselves. Like at the front, obviously it was like a normal gig, but it was definitely like more spread out than it would normally be, they said. So I think people will be cautious, and I think there will be like a lot of caution in general around gigs, but I think the model going forward will just be like, you'll have to just provide proof that you haven't got the Rona like a couple of days before, you know what I mean? And if that's the case, then yeah, sound, everyone's sort of been vaccinated. I'm saying it in the most positive way possible, hoping that it'll happen. So yeah, all fingers crossed if they do, that it does go ahead.
We were day one on download as well, so I think people were also who were there were a bit apprehensive, like, should we be moving around and like bumping into each other and stuff, or should we kind of be a bit reserved? But then I think by day 2, it probably warmed up a bit more after everyone got a bit more steamy.
They specifically said though, didn't they? Like on the Beeb and that on the BBC, they were saying like, we'll be gathering information on how, on like what moshing is. Like they're like, yes, we want to look at the mosh pits because we want to see how it's all. So it was.
I didn't see anyone in a fucking lab coat in any pit all weekend. They're lying.
Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, it was nice to be little lab rats for a bit, and specifically that they're taking the moshers into consideration about it. If the specifically is moshing, can you mosh the Rona away? Maybe that's what I think.
That's
can
it. Like, you always get
spin
these,
kick
like,
the Rona.
Crowd kill Roni, because you always get these like headlines that you like about alternative music and like negative headlines. Sometimes it'd be fucking hilarious if something came out or it's like Corona spread through mosh pits or violence and like
God.
Where you on? Didn't you do like a national TV interview?
It was so good. It was like you put that thing up on your Instagram afterwards. You said it to me in the services the day after. It's like that fucking bit off Gavin and Stacey where they all gather around to see him on the news and he's on it for 3 seconds.
Yeah, I spoke to him for 15 minutes, honestly. I was there for ages. It was the BBC. Yeah, I don't know who the reporter was, but it was just BBC Breakfast. But they were running that story like all throughout the day because I had my mum like, "You've been on telly. You've been on telly again. You've been on telly again." Mum, it's on an hour loop. It's on every hour. Like, yes, if you have the telly on, you, yeah. So it was sick though. It was like good bit of publicity. You know what I mean? Like bit of free little Beeb push. I'll take it. I'll go on the BBC for. Yeah, if it means that, because to some people, if you're on the news, there are some people that will see you on the news and go, oh, they must be big then. They must be doing all right if they're on the news. So. Whatever.
We're a real band now that we've been on BBC News once in our almost 10-year
BBC Breakfast
career.
as well. That's not bad going.
No.
Yeah. So all in all, very good though. Yeah, we got a bit of FaceTime with mainstream media, and actually managed to rip a gig for the first time in 2 years. And it was sick just to be together and to just I really enjoyed it. You were asleep, to be fair, Wes. You were kipped out in the van, but after we did that live stream, to be fair, you did perk up a bit when you heard we were listening to the show, and you were like, "Oh, we sound good actually," and went straight back to sleep. But it was sick, just like being in the van late at night after playing a show. Like we just done that live stream, all got in the van and then like rewatched the stream together in the van and shit, and it was just like that's the side of it that you miss as well. It's not just about like the playing the shows, it's about everything that happens leading up to and after that as well, and just to be reminded of that was definitely much needed. So more of it very soon, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Is out of curiosity, West, are you the sleepy boy in the band?
Oh, 100%. I'm in bed at like 9. We play the show and I'm back in the bus, 1 beer, kipping as soon as possible. Like, I just like sleeping. And I'm fucking old, so...
You're by far the earliest riser as well. Though.
Yeah,
you're up way before everyone else. I think you're just like the most sensible with like your sleeping behaviour, whereas we're absolute fucking children.
You're the worst. You are 100% the worst.
Oh,
so there's been mornings when I've got up and you're going to bed, and it's like, what the fuck have you been doing?
Playing games, mate. Honestly,
Playing FIFA.
If I find a game, mainly FIFA, yeah. If I find a game it is like crack to me, I just play it and play it and play it and play it to death. Like I've done it before, where I've like stayed up for 24 hours to try and like sort my sleeping pattern out a bit, like make sure I'm really tired and get an early night. And I've found that playing a video game works 10 times better than like just pumping myself full of coffee. Like it is like fully just keeps me awake. Yeah. That's why my sleeping pattern's so bad, because I'm like, play some games with the lads at night, you know what I mean? Get on Warzone about 10:30 or whatever. Get off at 1 and I'm like, I'm still like wide awake. I've still got like such an active mind. So then I'll play FIFA until like 4 a.m. probably, and then yeah.
So let's move on to games then. So what have you been playing then through lockdown?
FIFA. A lot of FIFA. I started playing Ultimate Team for the first time and realised that is the devil's work.
It's dark. I watched you.
It is.
Yeah, I've seen you play it, and when we were in Anglesey doing some writing, I was sat there like, oh no, this is not good. This isn't good. 40 quid just gone without even a second thought. Get a good player. And we watched you open it, and we were like, I've never heard of him.
Yeah, so that, but I've packed that in now. I've realised like I've just got caught in the spider's web of EA's just basically gambling for children and idiot men like me. So
they've just changed it. I think they've just announced something now where I think you can see if this is the same thing. Because I know fuck all about FIFA, just for background, but haven't they just changed something now where you can see what's inside the things that you open?
You can see the pack probabilities, but I literally don't think anyone pays a single bit of notice to them.
It doesn't deter people.
I think it's there for sort of for clarity and for them to be like, look, we told you weren't going to get anything, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it is most of the time. But other than that, got into Skater XL, which, you know, since the, you know, obviously the topic of the podcast being Tony Hawk's, I mean, I'm a big lover of just like a lot of sort of extreme sports games, action games, anything like that. I always played like I played, what was that one that came out, like a couple, Steep and all that, which for some reason is now getting a massive, people are loving it again, yeah.
Really?
And they're bringing out that, well, I saw it had a bit of a resurgence, yeah, a lot of people streaming it and stuff. And then I saw, they've also just done that, what's the one that's coming out for PS5 now? It's like Rough Riders or something.
Riders Republic.
Like that.
Which is basically Steep, but just with bikes basically in it, I think.
Yeah, I know. It looks sick. I messaged you after E3 because I'm not normally asked about stuff like that, to be honest, like sports games and things. I normally give it a miss, but I saw that and I was like, fucking hell, that doesn't actually really look that bad.
Yeah, no, it looks good. So yeah, I've been playing that sort of stuff. I'm just looking
what's Skater XL like, really quickly? Because isn't it kind of like, isn't that the closest thing to Skate?
At the minute.
Kind of, at the minute. I mean, there is a new Skate game on the way, which I'm buzzing for EA. I think the EA Players on my birthday this year, so I'm hoping that they'll announce it there, because they've got a new studio on it and stuff as well, so interested to see what they're doing with that. But Skater XL, on the console version, absolute waste of money, just boring, nothing to do really, like, yeah, a bit of a waste of money. On PC though, with mods, basically the modding community has made the game what it should be, and the response from the developers of that, because it's still like it's an indie game, it's you know, still I would say they basically released it kind of unfinished, so I would say it's still in development really, the base game anyway, but modders have just made it way better, and the response from the actual developers of the game has been like, we don't care, and we're not going to make the changes that you want, almost out of spite, it seems like. It's like because they've done it better, and they're just like, no, we had a vision for the game. And it's like, well, if your vision for the game is it being shit, then yeah, crack on. But yeah, so it's frustrating, but once it's got the mods on, it's an amazing game, and yeah, really like the closest thing to like actual skating. It's really satisfying.
Got to ask as well, just because it's so close to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, what's the soundtrack like?
Oh, the soundtrack's crap. Oh, it's got
let down.
I think it's got.
Like,
I think
it's got this and got that.
Nothing.
No, it's crap. It's got like. It's got a couple of like smaller bands that I've not really heard of, which it's not totally, it's not crap. It's not totally offensive, but it's really short. And I think there's only like, I think the only band you would have heard on there is like Interpol or something. I think there's like one Interpol track. I turned the music off, to be honest. Yeah, I turned the music off. It's dead annoying because there's only like 6 or 7 songs and they just loop and it's just not that good.
I'm sure you could just bang Spotify on if you're playing it on. Sorry, if you're playing it on PC, you could just bang like Spotify on or something, couldn't you? Instead, and just make your own soundtrack almost. Listen to whatever you want.
Yeah, I just kind of like having the skate sounds as well. I don't necessarily like having like music that I don't like on. I tend to do it with FIFA as well because the FIFA soundtracks these days are all right, but I can guarantee after a month or two of playing them, it's like I've genuinely put the FIFA soundtrack down to like some of the reasons why I feel uninspired sometimes because I'm like, all I've been listening to is the fucking FIFA soundtrack. Yeah. Fucking, it's just horrendous. So yeah, I have to turn a lot of the soundtracks off in games. But I'm trying to think what other like real games I've been playing in lockdown. A lot of Warzone. Yeah. I want to do another Breath of the Wild playthrough. That was something I've been telling myself to do for ages. And I want to do another Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough as well.
Still not played it.
What?
Still not played it? Oh my God.
I've never played a Red Dead game.
You fucking daft?
No, like literally, I only really got into GTA as well when 5 came out because I didn't have a PS2 properly back in the day, so it was like do you know what I mean? Do you know where you just get those big games that you miss? And with Red Dead, because I didn't play the first one, I think I was just kind of like, well, I don't know what it's like, but obviously it's meant to be incredible.
Mate, it's sick.
Yeah, it's really, so really good. Highly recommend it. Yeah.
You'd absolutely buzz off it as well. It's so good. The second one especially, fuck me. You sound genuinely pissed off at me. I'm just shocked that you, of all people, have never played Red Dead.
Yeah,
that's like you turn it. Like,
didn't it get Game of the Year by like a long way, or did it come out at the same year as Breath of the Wild? Because no, I think it came out after Breath of the Wild because it's definitely
2018.
Yeah, so Breath of the Wild was the year before. I definitely think they pinched a few little bits from Breath of the Wild. If not, then they were two very like-minded game developers, both making amazing games at the same time with similar features. But I think of it as like an X-rated kind of Breath of the Wild almost. Like the world is just amazing.
Huge.
Like the features in it, the level of detail in it is just unreal. Love it. I love that game. Right. But honourable mentions actually, because I have played a couple of a game that nobody else seemed to be that arsed about, which I really liked. Was that Star Wars game? That like the Force Unlocked, the Force Awakens? No, not the Force Awakens. That was the movie.
No, not Force Unleashed.
The Force Unleashed
360.
Why? I know which one you mean.
Order.
The new one. Fallen Order. Yeah.
That's
was it good?
I really liked it. I thought it was great. I know, West, you weren't that arsed about it.
Oh, no, I've not played it. I haven't got round to it yet.
I was going to borrow it off you
and I never got round to it.
I've lent it to my brother now. It's really good. I thought similar vein, honestly. Maybe not quite as. Then again, the story in it's great. If they would have hired the people that wrote the story for the actual Star Wars movies, I think they would have done a fucking damn sight better than they did. But really good. I would say I would put that just behind like God of War in terms of those like sort of story-driven Souls-like games kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So they're pretty much my honourable mentions over the last sort of year or so. But Lockdown's been very much just staples that just have a lot of replayability, really.
Do you know what I started last year, which I've wanted to do for years? I can tell you every game I played last year. I've started a list.
What, you made a list?
Yeah, I've wanted to do it for years. I know it sounds really sad, but I listed every game that I played last year. Let me find it really quick. You say nice. Oh, nice. Sado.
It's probably quite interesting. For you,
he's trying to get points on us. I've played more games than you two. I'm the bigger gamer.
Yeah, I've got a B-Tech in gaming, you fuckers. And you know what? I can't even fucking find the bastard list now. Oh yeah, games.
Did you get one of them for working at Game for a bit, do you? Did you get a B-Tech in gaming? Is that?
Yeah, B-Tech in ripping people off for disc care. Fucking yeah, I wouldn't go through the list now, but I surprised myself by how many different games like I actually played. And I bet you'd do the same as well. Like even if I played it for 5 minutes, I listed it. But yeah, what's that? You want me to go through the whole thing?
Well, you take out high. Like you can't just big up this fucking list and then just move the conversation on.
Listen, all right, then, and it's in chronological order as well, somewhat chronological order. So, games played: A Short Hike, Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Stop. Right. Stop. Right. So read out, and then I just want a quick out of 10.
Oh, fucking hell! Okay. This is the episode now, then. A Short Hike, 10 out of 10. Kingdom Hearts Remind, 7. Animal Crossing, 10 out of 10 at the time, about a 4 right now. Exit the Gungeon, 6. Ukulele, 6, whatever. Warzone, 5. I don't really like it. And then I played like 5 seasons of Destiny. I'm not even going to rate that. Monster Hunter World, Iceborne, 10. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, 15 out of 10. Risk of Rain 2, about 8 out of 10. Human Fall Flat. So I'm not doing a rating for all of them. We're going to be here forever. I'm just going to speed through the rest. Human Fall Flat.
How long is this fucking list,
the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater episode. Let's just go through
my favourite games of last year. You'll sit here and listen to all of them because it's my podcast.
How many roughly do you think are on this list?
About 50 probably, so we'll stop here.
I was going to say that's some good content. You're jizzing through all the good podcast content here.
Yeah, I tell you what then. So whoever's editing in this, just chop that out, please. We'll save that for another episode.
Mention it. What you should do is mention it and then fade it off as you like list them, and then we come back to it and be like,
editing now, and then we're going to fade back in right about now. There we are. Lovely.
10 hours later.
Yeah, but and then there's a section at the bottom of games that I actually completed, and in comparison to the rest of the fucking list, it's about this big. It's fucking tiny. I didn't actually finish that many.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry to derail the whole thing.
With all that said and done, can we talk about what I believe, at least, is one of the greatest video game series ever created, which is obviously the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series.
Yes.
I guess just to start with, I think I'm a big believer, like without getting too spiritual, I think things happen in life and they send you in a certain direction. And I always like to look back at stuff and events in my life and kind of go, right, I'm grateful for this happening, or I appreciate that person for doing that because it's why I'm doing this, that, or that today kind of thing. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is probably the reason I got into alternative music, which obviously led to me meeting loads of friends, like the little I don't know if you had one like where you guys are from, but in Hull we had like a under 18s mosh night, welly.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Ours was called Rebellion.
Oh, edgy.
Was yours called the Welly, as in like a Wellington?
You're not at Welly Club?
The Welly Club? No.
Have you not heard of the Welly Club? Mate, Welly Club's sick. I can't remember what, to be fair, the under 18s night itself had a proper like cringe mosh name kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Rebellion.
Yeah,
leading star.
Yeah. But met people through that, obviously. Started promoting gigs at a venue called Ringside. I don't know if you're both familiar with that, but Hull's like
think we've
small.
Ever played Hull.
You know, right? Have you actually
any band? In any band? No, I've never.
I've never played Hull.
I don't think Ombler. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been to Hull.
Oh mate, we'll have to. I'll take you for a night out. Honestly,
I thought you frozen then with that silence for a second.
I was in the local Queens last night, and we were getting rounds in. And I've got back from a weekend in London, and after seeing the price of pints there and then getting drinks back in at the local, like 15 quid for like a round of like 3 or 4 pints and like 2 or 3 doubles, like all together. It's just mad.
That's the joy of the North, mate. A quick tip though. Actually, this is actually a great tip for anyone as well. Tip alert, right? So there's pubs up in Chester way. Sort of, I think they're called Sam Smith's. Are they Sam Smith's pubs, West?
Yeah, they are.
Right. So not Sam Smith the singer.
Ombler knows already.
Oh, you already know about the Sam Smith. Mate, there's a bunch of Sam Smith's pubs in London, all right? The beer is not bad, but I'm telling you, it's about £2 cheaper than you'll get it anywhere else. Yeah. So if you're knocking around central London, Google Sam Smith's pubs. And you'll avoid the shock of the Ombler as just experienced, because it is fucking ridiculous. We were just down in London and it was like fucking £6 a pint everywhere.
It's horrible. Is it like the weird? Is it like the weird Marston's pubs where the pints are like 173, or they've got real weird, where it's like they've looked at the profit margins and gone, right, what's the cheapest we can fucking sell this for while still making a little bit of money and running a viable business.
It's like 50% beer, 50% line cleaner. It's like it's weird, 50.
No, you can pay 50p more. You can pay 50p more a pint and get the organic version, which I would recommend. So then you can still feel a little bit London because you're drinking organic, but you're paying Northern prices. There we go. So it's all good.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, so was promoting gigs. That led to me putting Demoralizer on, who I obviously joined. Then spent 5 years like just playing gigs, touring around UK and Europe, and like honestly, I put all of that down. That all comes back down to like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, because honestly, like that was my way in to alternative music, like it was, I think, for so many people. If you YouTube like any of the songs on that game and just look through the comments on YouTube, like they're so wholesome, because it's like, thank you so much, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you've done this. Like how important has the series been to you two?
I would say on a similar level. Like it came at a time in my life probably when you're trying to find like almost like your identity, aren't you? Like it's like what do I like? What am I into? And then it was that mixed with like the music channels on TV, you know, like Kerrang and MTV2, and then later on Scuzz. Do you remember one called P-Rock as well?
Yeah, that was like was that like a weird competitor to like?
Yeah, it was kind of like they played much smaller bands on there on P-Rock. It was like I don't know why I remember that, but
mate, do you remember when Scuzz used to do the X-rated videos after 9 o'clock? That was what you stayed up for, mate. That was like, Ben, get to bed. It's like just at 9 o'clock. You're like, I might get one tit in it. I might be able to see one maybe. You're like, please Kid Rock, please Kid Rock, please for the Kid Rock video.
That's the only time anyone's ever wished for Kid Rock in their entire fucking life.
Similar for me, to be fair. I think, you know, like, I don't know how old you are, Ombler. I'm assuming we're all sort of the same age.
29, I think we're all there.
Almost the same age as me.
Yeah, late 20s. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely just similar thing to me, really. I was maybe a little bit younger than you guys, but I was passed it on through my brother. My older brother was like just a massive punk. He just had like green hair. I remember him showing me Dookie and stuff when I was a kid. But I think the very first thing he showed me, which like really sparked it off, would have been Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and it would have been him, you know, a skater at the time. His worlds just colliding, like, oh, sick, there's like finally a skateboard, like a good skateboarding video game. And yeah, just everything about it, just loved it. I thought it was like fun and easy enough to just pick up as a kid, and just kind of like, just, you know, there wasn't really any consequences, because like there was to playing GTA. I remember I saved over one of his GTA files, like with like some back in the day, and I remember him actually raging. So Tony Hawk was low consequence. It was just nice and easy. And but yeah, mostly for the music as well, man. Like, yeah, pretty much. Well, I think back then it seemed way harder back then, and then the reissues come out, and it's like, oh, actually, this is like quite easy to just sort of smash through. I mean, if you're trying to get like, it got to the point though, I remember my brother got like really competitive with it, and it would be me and him trying to get like 1,000,000 point combos and stuff like that. And yeah, I can't do that anymore. So definitely did pump quite a few hours into it for sure.
There was that multiplayer mode, wasn't there, where I don't know if this was in 1, it might have come in 3 or 4, but where you basically you'd skate on something, you'd pull a trick on something, and it'd turn red or blue.
I can't remember what it was called. Was it like Tag? I think it might have been called like Tag or something like that. Yeah, it was like yeah. There was loads of good like multiplayer modes on it as well, to be fair.
Horse is the classic, isn't it?
Horse was the classic, yeah. But I just loved, like, even as they progressed and stuff, man. Like they always still had like, I think when you think of like the Tony Hawk series, I think you do think of like, especially when it comes to the soundtrack, the first two soundtracks are like the most iconic for sure.
Yeah.
But every game like massively improved every time, like up until maybe like Project 8 or whatever, they were always improving. And my personal favorite of the whole series is Underground. I absolutely loved it. I thought that was so sick with like the story mode and stuff. I love that. You could get off your board, drive around in cars. Yeah, it was sick.
I don't think the car driving's probably aged very well.
No.
Because I'm picturing it in my head now, and just turning the corner in that game in my head looks wrong. So,
yeah, I remember there was. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think the best thing about the series is like everything just came together, because I think, like you were saying, like Wes, like that, like at that time when you like so the first game came out in 1999, didn't it? So we'd have been like 7, and then obviously like maybe like 10, 11, 12 when 3, 4 or whatever were coming out. They're like the most formative years of your life.
Yeah.
So not only are you hearing this alternative music and stuff, but I think also like probably like I was like a bit of a fucking greeb when I was younger, so you're also seeing like these skate brands and stuff like Etnies and stuff pop up on, and do you know what I mean? It's like it just captured that whole, and it fit really well with the whole Jackass thing as well, because I think Viva the Band was like out at the same time, wasn't it? Like, and that's what I mean. That's why when you said Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Underground, I was like, that was basically a playable like Jackass game, wasn't it?
Especially the second one,
yeah.
Number 2, yeah.
The second one had you could get Don Vito and Phil in it. I think you could get Bam's dad as a playable character, and he bounced when he bailed. Yeah,
wasn't he in his grubs as well?
Yeah, he was in his pants, and like, yeah, he would bounce everywhere, and yeah, it was great. I loved it. But like, yeah, I think as well, like it was just so key. Like the timing of it was just spot on in terms of like, that was when alternative music really had like its last massive boom. It was, you know, Blink weren't far behind that. Fucking nu metal was just around the corner nu metal was like raging at that time, to be fair, even though there wasn't a lot of nu metal on the Tony soundtrack. It was definitely like all part of the same world for sure. And like, I think the timing of that game, like there are some games I think that like really can define an era and can almost define you as a person. I'm sure a lot of people will say like Zelda and things like that, Zelda and Pokemon, and even some, you know, just some GTA heads and things like that. And there are just games that will change people's lives and that, you know, define people. And Tony Hawk, especially in alternative music, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series are like, I think they are like, that is like the game for like the early 2000s kids. For anyone who was like remotely into alternative music at the time, like that is like the game for you. It's weird.
I think at the time though, we were probably like clueless at the time as to thinking that it had any impact. And, you know, I think it's only like sitting here now thinking about it, it's like, fucking hell, like that actually like probably did define quite a bit of. I don't want it to sound. Yeah,
like,
you know, that's exactly
and you
it.
kind of go like, yeah, without that, I wouldn't have had that start with it. Like,
like I wouldn't have heard a song like Superman before, which wouldn't have then turned me on to like trying to discover more music like it, because it's like I really like that song. And then going from there and then branching off to like your Blink, your Green Day, and then eventually like heavier stuff for certain people. It's like, it kind of is like Tony Hawk's was kind of like the gateway drug, especially for like, I think as well, it probably impacted people like me and you, Ben, because we're from like middle of fucking nowhere. We're not from like a big major city, which is like a huge cultural hub. So there's no like organic exposure to stuff like that. It's kind of like you have to like seek it out if you want to find stuff like it. It's not as if we're going to fucking walk through Wrexham town centre or the middle of Chester and see people fucking ripping a sick line or something. It's like, it's just like, it's fucking now to here. There's a bloke racing horses in Chester, and then Wrexham is not really too much going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something
just
that you're exposed to.
in Wrexham.
Yeah, fighting in Wrexham and horse racing in Chester.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we did have to go to Chester back in the day to go and get like your Bernies and that. You had to go to Soho in Chester to get your Bernie. You had a Route 1 there as well. Yeah,
Do you ever go Pop Shop? They used to sell sell like all the Snide band merch, like the Linkin Park hoodies, but the font would be in blue so they couldn't get in trouble.
Oh, me and my brother used to take me to some great dodgy markets. There was one, did you remember Mostyn Market by Us West?
Oh yeah.
That was
fucking
like
hell.
Snide Game Central. I'll tell you a time where I bought actually a well snide game, not from Mostyn Market, but I bought a snide version of Pokemon Crystal off a bloke at the back of a Woolworths who just had like a table set up. And I put it in, and all of the Pokemon and all of the menu, everything was just swear words, and it was just literally like you caught a fuckachew and like pokey. It was like pokey dick ball. It was like just nonsensical, like fuck, shit, fuck everywhere, and we were just like, me and Seb both looked at each other like, what is this? Like, don't tell mum. But it was unplayable. It was literally unplayable because it was just like so snide. But yeah, my brother used to take me to like well snide markets and just like be able to get like, I don't know, literally anything you want. I remember going to get like the Toy Story game. I had a snide copy of that, and like the
which one was that?
game.
Was that PlayStation?
Yeah, it would have been the Buzz Lightyear one.
PlayStation, the Buzz Lightyear one.
sick.
That was a sick game though. That was amazing.
Toy Story
great.
Till I Die. I love Toy Story so much, but that game was not aged well.
Did we try and play it on tour? Have I got that wrong, or did I might have watched someone playing through it again recently and think I didn't even think it looked that bad. I thought it still looked kind of hard actually.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the reason it's hard is because the controls are shit on it. It's got tank controls. So instead of like the camera moving, like you move forward, you have to stop to turn left. It's a fucking nightmare.
Ah, right, yeah.
But yeah,
remember that.
you were talking about snide
you have
games and stuff. Did you ever have someone? My dad, when he used to go to work, if I wanted a new game, he wouldn't buy a real one; he'd buy a fake one. So I had a chipped PlayStation, which everybody did. Did he bring back the list of games that he could get? It's just like
I remember. Just on what Ben was saying with the Pokemon swear word thing, we had a similar thing where we got a copy of Res 3. And I was at my mate's house, and sometimes with the chipped games, you had like a menu screen before, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Yeah.
with like cheats and stuff.
But played this copy of Res 3, and I think it's basically whoever's done the like cut of the game, they put like their message into the game kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? The same way like people ripping ROMs and stuff can do like now. But it was like, yo, motherfuckers, what's up? Like just literally full of swear words. There's me and my mates there, his mum in his room, and we're just kind of like, turn it off. So we're gonna get the PlayStation taken off. Even though we're playing Resident Evil 3, like.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Oh, them were the days, man. It was great.
It was great. Like my dad would bring home, it was called The List, and it was just this really badly printed Word document, about 18 pages of just games, and you just scroll through it, and it's like, pick the one you want, and then you'd pick one, and he'd come back, and then his mate would print it at work, and it'd have like the really crap blown up like bitmap picture on the disc that doesn't fit at all, or if he couldn't be asked, he'd just write THPS2 and a fucking Sharpie or something on it.
Yeah, I think I had multiple copies of Tony Hawk as well. I always remember there always being like, like maybe a legit copy, but then maybe that got scratched up to shit or something, so you ended up with a few snide copies or whatever. But yeah, but the also great nostalgia from that time as well was going and renting games from Blockbuster.
Yeah,
because my mum was like
absolutely.
always quite reluctant to like just go and spend like 25, 30 quid. Fucking, I remember when games were 25 quid.
Yeah, must be nice.
Yeah, but she wouldn't want to go and do that. But if she was like, right, I'll keep you quiet with a fucking game over the weekend or whatever, it was amazing. I used to love that. I still think a gaming rental place could 100% work, but RIP Blockbuster. But that was very much the times, man. Like baggy pants, some snide games, occasionally going Blockbuster on the weekends. Like anytime a new Tony Hawk game came out, anything like that, like it was just, it was great. And they all sort of came out in little eras, I felt like, the Tony Hawk's games. Like, so you had that late 99, the one that kicked the first one in 99, felt like 99, you know, it was massive fat baggy trainers and all that, and it was like all about Rodney Mullen. You had Goldfinger on the soundtrack, you had a bunch of Pennywise and Bad Religion and stuff. I think that's another reason why my brother loved that game so much as well, because his favorite bands were like Bad Religion, Pennywise, and so it was a game that like centered around that culture, like that Southern California, like being exposed to that kind of culture. over in fucking Wrexham in North Wales was like, you know, it was like making your own little discovery about it. But each game like really kept with the times, I thought, like with the soundtrack as well. Like I felt like it maybe got like a little bit more hip hoppy and a little cooler 100%. As like 2 and 3 came out, 3 and 4 came out, and then Underground came out, and that was like a little rougher again. And like, but yeah, each time it felt like every couple of years a Tony game came out, and it was right bang on of like where skate and alternative culture sort of was at that time. It like really was really good at having its fingers on the pulse of like what people are into at the minute. Yeah,
and I think fair play to like whoever licensed that original soundtrack, because I think they kind of said like they just managed to find bands that just perfectly captured like the skate thing at the time, and especially as you started bringing like hip hop into like later games as well, like you were saying, Ben, with like 3 and 4 and stuff. But a lot of like, so for example, like AFI, they were on I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 with their All Hallows EP. Look at the size of that band now. Goldfinger as well, Superman, that was from their what was that? Hang Ups, I think the album was called. Again, absolutely massive now. The bands in a lot of those soundtracks were like relatively small at the time, with the exception of like AC/DC and Motorhead and stuff like that. There were some big names in there. I think once the series took off and they were like, right, we've got the money to license bigger bands, but they found so many gems, like smaller artists who were on that kind of like spot of breaking through, and you look at them now and they're absolutely massive. Like I don't know about you guys, but I think basically like I think the easiest way to describe Tony Hawk's Pro Skater to maybe someone 10 years younger than us now would just be going, right, do you know Spotify? Like, yeah, right. So we didn't have Spotify like 10 years ago. We had fucking Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Like that was it. Like what bands did you guys discover from the games, if any?
Goldfinger. Everyone fucking loves Superman. And if you don't, you're a liar.
I think that's the standout track for sure. But
that is the
Less
song.
Than Jake, I think Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish were on a couple of the early ones too. I think even though ska is a love-hate sort of genre, I fucking love Less Than Jake. And
Less Than Jake is so good.
They're amazing, and I think one of my first exposures to them, well, again, like you said, they caught bands when they were right on the cusp. So you would hear Less Than Jake on the Tony soundtrack, but then you'd flip Kerrang on, and they'd be on there too, and you'd go, this is the band that's on Tony, sweet. Because we don't have Spotify, I've been waiting until they're in front of me again, and there they are, cool. That's what I like. And then the next thing you know, they'll play a Real Big Fish video and all that. So it really was like such a sick jumping off point for that, for sure. And like I think a lot of it, if I'm not totally mistaken, I think a lot of the early ones anyway were some of Tony's like personal preference. I think he wanted the game to have like, I think bands like Pennywise and Bad Religion, I think at the time in 99 when they were on that first soundtrack, they were pretty big bands. I think they were some of the bigger bands, and then like Less Than Jake and sort of Real Big Fish and like Goldfinger and stuff were like sort of just under that. They were like the sort of new version of that. But I think Tony definitely was like, this needs... I've watched interviews with him, and he said that he wanted to capture Southern California skate culture, and that like basically you can't do that without a soundtrack.
No.
And he absolutely just nailed it. Yeah, I think they got the tone of it perfect.
I think he might have got Dead Kennedys on. I think I've read something where he mentioned, and then is it Steve Caballero? I think I'm saying he's right. I think I'm saying he was in a band that was basically mates with Body Jar, who had that "You're not the same you" that was on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. That was a tune. And then he got who's that other like similar, not Pennywise, is it Millencolin? I think.
Oh my god, Millencolin, No Cigar.
So he was mates with both of those bands, so I think he just kind of said, right, he used to tour with them, so he was like, we need to get these guys on. And that's it. It's like this whole big family kind of, do you know what I mean? It's just, oh God, it's so good. If I ever meet anybody who says they don't like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I'd just knock them out.
It's one of them where you just sort of like, just knock them out.
I'll just fucking chin them on the spot, knock them out. Like, if they don't like it, I'll knock them out, honestly.
Why is this guy out cold on the floor? What happened? He badmouthed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. What on it? Someone.
He didn't like.
Yeah.
He didn't like Millencolin. Oh, fucking right. Yeah, fuck him then. Mate, Millencolin, you mentioned Millencolin, and like I think actually, to be fair, Millencolin were my favourite Tony Hawk band. I got super into Millencolin to a point where I remember their song Fox, which wasn't on the Tony soundtracks. I think it was No Cigar, and
wasn't No Cigar, yeah.
There was one or two others I think they had, or maybe some later ones. But I remember like belting around my room to the song Fox, which is about his motor scooter. But I remember, like, you know, them vivid childhood memories that you have of like when you're fucking like discovering something and that you just like so into it. I had like such a Millencolin like little phase, and I remember bouncing around my room like, I fucking love this band, like they're so good, and wouldn't have found out about them if it wasn't for Tony. So Millencolin is an absolute shout. I fucking love Millencolin. To be fair, mate, Wes, did you watch them at Slam Dunk at all a couple of years ago? It was like Goldfinger, and it was basically the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater stage. Yeah. It was like Millencolin, Goldfinger,
Guttermouth,
Real Big Fish, Guttermouth, Zebrahead, and that. Yeah.
Guttermouth. Did either of you watch Guttermouth? Because that was, or have you seen Guttermouth live before?
No,
I haven't. No.
Oh my god, the lead singer is like, so Guttermouth, I think, were basically like, they are like punk rock as fuck, but they're all getting on now. The lead singer was ripping the audience to bits, pointing people out in the audience, like, you with the pink mohawk, like, don't you realise that punk rock's fucking dead now? And he just got gradually more and more naked through the set.
Oh no!
By the end of the set, he was just playing in his bockies. And he was a big lad as well. But I've not laughed. I've never laughed watching a band live. But this guy just had me in tears because I was like, you are the epitome of give. Like, you do not give a single fuck, like, at all. It was hilarious. But yeah, Goldfinger live as well. Like, because I've always wanted, I think everybody's got that list of bands they've always wanted to see live. And half of mine from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtrack. Like, System of a Down, Goldfinger, AFI. And then finally saw Goldfinger at Slam Dunk and was just like, I was tanned as well. It was fantastic.
It's such a good it's such a like happy music though as well. Like it's such a good, like you could probably go and watch them, be a bit too tan, maybe like not really paying attention, but sort of halfway through that set, because it's kind of uplifting happy music, you're like, yeah, actually I feel a bit better now. Like it's not like going to watch like I don't know, some mad experimental or some emo band or something where you probably get a bit lost in it. It's like, nah, this is fun, this is light-hearted, it doesn't take itself too seriously. And to be honest, I think that exact ethos, like that exact sort of feel and way of thinking is something that's like directly translated into what we do in Neck Deep. Like, I think what was so good about like those sort of Tony Hawk bands and the games themselves is that they were just fun, and you were just sort of meant to enjoy it being there. It wasn't like you didn't go on Tony Hawk to like challenge yourself and do all this sort of stuff. A lot of the time anyway. I mean, sometimes you might want to break a high score or whatever, but 99% of the time you were just chucking it on because the music was good and because you got to just, you know, chuck a 900. Like it's kind of it really. And I think like the fact that still definitely exists now. Like, I mean, Blink are a big part to play in that too, but it was that whole attitude of like, yeah, skate, have fun, don't take things super seriously. And that was different from what most people, like, to be honest, I think at the age that we were probably playing Tony Hawk and stuff, most people didn't even really have a taste in music. It was like, I like Steps and Busted. And that was like, all right, cool. I like Millencolin. Who the fuck are Millencolin? You know what I mean? It was sick being able to be like, yeah, sick. You don't know Goldfinger or Millencolin or Bad Religion or it was amazing. Loved it.
It was how authentic it was as well, because I've interviewed I've forgotten his name. I think it's called Scott Peace, the main producer who worked on the original, and basically they had the whole development team at Neversoft. They got quarter pipes installed near the studio, so they were all practicing skateboarding just to kind of get the authenticity. I mean, I'm not calling like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater authentic, considering you can like there's no gravity basically, but you know what I mean. It's still it still feels real, like when you bail and stuff, and the movement and the tricks and stuff, and like Hawk himself like looked at all these names and stuff, and they've updated some of them now, like just everything about it was just so, it wasn't just like Hawk going, all right, I'm just gonna slap my name on a skateboarding game and just cash in on it. Do you know what I mean? I think it was everybody who was involved with it was like, no, this needs to be, if we're doing this, we want to make a game that truly represents skateboarding as it is. And we need all the pro skaters in there. We need the brands in there as well. Like everything about this like needs to be perfect. And I think that's the reason it did so well, because it hit home with like so many people, and everybody who played it was kind of all right, either like found themselves in the game kind of thing, or they were already skateboarding, or they got introduced to skateboarding. Like can't speak highly enough about it.
Yeah. There was another game at the time, actually, and I remember playing it, and it was Thrasher. So Thrasher, you know, like the Thrasher mag.
Rockstar developed that game. Rockstar made that game.
Yeah. And it had some really cool features, but it was fucking shit. It was really bad. And like it had some really cool features, like you would get chased out of the spot you were skating and stuff by a security guard and that. And like, yeah, that was cool. And that represented like, you know, that kind of harder edge to skating. But like Tony, I think definitely made it like accessible and like, and just the gameplay was better as well. That Thrasher Skate and Destroy game was not good. But, it just shows that like it you know, it wasn't just the fact that it was a skateboarding game, and like you say, he didn't just slap his name on a skateboarding game that didn't work. They took the time to make sure that game was like super fun to play, really engaging, just like lighthearted, and like they did it better than anyone else. Like even the Skate series, you know, like hugely successful series, massively successful, and I think ultimately what kind of put a bit of a nail in the coffin for Tony, because I think it was sort of around the time where games were becoming more geared towards realism rather than like the arcadey side of things, and so I think Skate kind of put the nail in the coffin there, but it had nowhere near the amount of cult following and nostalgia that Tony does now. There's like, it's because Tony transcended being just a game. Skate is a great game, but people only think of it as a game. People think of Tony Hawk's the series as like a cultural thing, like it was part of the time. Yeah, definitely.
I think what was funny as well was the amount of studios that they approached. If I remember rightly, I think Tony Hawk approached Nintendo with the idea. Like that was one of the first places he approached. Basically, they approached so many studios, and like, I don't know if you've looked into the sales figures for the series, but it has done very, very well. So I bet there's a lot of studios who kind of got that pitch or got that message, and are just now they're just kind of like, why did we not go with this?
Even Neversoft and Activision kind of made their name off that for sure, because was Neversoft a division of was Neversoft? What was the deal with Neversoft? And I can't remember what games they'd made before or even after that. Really,
the only games that
there was the Spider-Man game.
There was a cheat to get Spider-Man in Tony Hawk's 2 or 3. You could put it in and skate around as him.
In fucking the only game they made before was a game called Apocalypse, which featured Bruce Willis as the main character, and they made that MDK game as well. And then I think they made one more before it. I'll just Google it. They made one called Skeleton Warriors, on Sega Saturn and PlayStation, apparently.
And then the Tony Hawk series. So big jump,
pretty much. And then the last game they developed or were involved in was Call of Duty Ghosts. So that's a lot more recent.
It was a new game coming out every year, pretty much, wasn't it?
It was 99, 2000.
Which those games came out, like...
It didn't feel like a year, though. It felt like...
It didn't.
Forever between them. But in reality, it literally was like 1 year between each one. It was like a yearly release.
I think I remember it maybe went to 2, because I think did 3 come out in 2002, and then like I think 4 came out in 2004 maybe. I think they did start stretching out a little bit. Fuck off, really?
Yeah. So I'm just looking at it now. Tony Hawk's 1, 99, 2 was 2000, 3 was 2001, 4 was 2002.
What?
Underground was 2003. It was yearly up until
That's
Project
mental.
8.
I thought it was like... Damn. I would have said that Underground came out in like 2005 or 6.
No,
That's crazy. That came out in
it
2003. They were so on it.
time is just different now, isn't it? Now it moves quickly. Have you got a light bigger that you can turn on in that room?
Yeah, I was going to ask what your darkest in.
Yeah, just flick your light on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's better. I can see you now.
There we go.
He's blind.
But
sorry, I'm not even on the thingy. I'm monitoring my recording because I get just worried that it's just going to cut out halfway through. It hasn't yet, so
it's fine.
I did that. I literally did that on the first episode. Like shit,
I
was like. Yeah, I was at West. I don't think my audio's been on. Like, I do it on interviews, mate. Like, honestly, like if I'm interviewing someone, like I'll have that thing afterwards because I've done it once where the call recording software that I use, you've got to manually save the call. And once I had like this 1 hour and a half phone call with a dev, went really, really well. Like, didn't take any notes because obviously I've got the entire recording. And then just forgot to save it at the end and was just like, thanks for the call. Can we please do that again? Because I can't remember anything we spoke about. Like, real quickly on the games coming out every year, because something I've been looking into recently is just kind of like the complexities around licensing music for a video game soundtrack. Like, if you think not only are they making these games every year, they've also got to approach all these labels, clear the rights for those songs, like actually just build the soundtrack itself, like look at who's popular. Do you know to do that year after year? Back then, because now, I mean, obviously that happens now with the likes of FIFA and stuff, but these companies have their own sync teams and A&R teams. So it's like, it's easier, but back then it would have just been like some guy at Neversoft just like, right,
messaging people.
Let's just put this soundtrack together.
I imagine it was easier back then, just approaching a small label. Because as we were saying, these bands are on the cusp. So you'd probably find a contact for them, like their manager at the time or their small label, and just be. Go on.
But a lot of them went. So yeah, I think if you made the approach to, so let's say Suicidal Tendancies, who are obviously like massive within like that kind of like hardcore punk scene, whatever. But sending an email to them, and I think probably because of like their background, they'd be kind of like, right, yeah, this sounds, because like skate punks anyway, aren't they? So they'd be like, yeah, right, we're up for it. That, as opposed to emailing somebody like AC/DC's management, because I can't imagine they knew somebody in AC/DC. Do you know what I mean? Because
that's why they're in Tony Hawk's 4 and not 1.
Yeah, but even then, still trying to have that conversation. Yeah, and Kiss, it's like Wipeout I've spoken to the composer for that game, and they were saying when they were trying to approach the likes of Prodigy and stuff like that, like, and just try and get these people on the soundtrack. They're like, nah, it's a game. Games were seen differently back then. Do you know what I mean? Like, games weren't the big thing that they are now. So just the effort that's gone into not only putting that soundtrack together, but pulling it off and getting names like AC/DC and Kiss. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Like,
I would like to put a personal message out right now for anyone in the world of gaming that's listening. We'll be on any game. We've not been in one. Put us on the fucking soundtrack.
We were in Counter-Strike. That was about it.
You have to buy the pack,
DLC.
though. We're not included by default. You're not forced to listen to us. You have to be a fan already. If I'm talking to anyone that's listening, if you want us in a game, let's go. We'll do it.
Yeah, I'm down 100%. I was just going to say the only other game I can think of that has maybe been as influential with this soundtrack, but still I don't really think even comes close is, and again, but still in that same sort of realm as like, how the fuck have you managed to get that much licensing for that much music? Is GTA is probably the only one I think of that has like a huge soundtrack that generally tends to really sort of affect the feel of the game. The radios in GTA were amazing.
100%.
Yeah,
but
crazy licensing for that though as well. But Rockstar money is.
Well, yeah, and you've got the two founders. You've got Sam and Dan Houser, and I can't remember which one it is, but one of them comes from an A&R background, and he was at one of the major labels, and I think that's why. GTA has been so successful, because I think he had this vision where he was kind of like, right, I've been promoting music for all of my career so far. We've now got this opportunity where we can push bands through video games, and look at what GTA are doing now with like, they've got the virtual nightclubs and stuff, haven't they, in the game?
I think Rockstar have just launched a label as well.
They
Rockstar have just launched
with Circle Loco. who are like one of the biggest
that's the
party.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's
It's like
there's
an
gonna be some big
electronic
things
label,
happening. Yeah, there's going to be some. I think basically what Fortnite and Roblox are doing now with their virtual concerts, I think GTA will be looking at doing something on a similar scale, perhaps with DLC, because they've already, off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the DJs they've had in the GTA 5 DLC, but I know the very big names within kind of like house and techno music and stuff like that. But mate, by the time GTA 6 rolls around, and that's probably not going to be until like 2025, but I think we're at a point now where video games have become a platform now to promote bands and artists. Like I think it will become the norm that bands debut music in a video game as opposed to kind of going to Radio 1, right, you guys can have our first, because the difference between Radio 1's audience and a platform like Fortnite that has 17, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but multi-million active players, do you know what I mean? It's just like a logical choice, and those players are engaging with the music and having fun with it and playing with their friends while they're taking it in, and it becomes like a performance in its own. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
And I think that fan base as well is more like it's more I don't want to use the word, it's more like a sponge. Like they're younger, they're at the position that we were when we were playing
with
Tony
Tony
Hawk.
Hawk's.
Totally.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
To be like young and hearing like, that's why I would honestly, it sounds stupid, that's why I would guarantee a lot of younger people nowadays are listening to people like Travis Scott and stuff, because it's put in front of them. So stuff like if it's presented in their favorite game, they're going to see that and go, I like Fortnite, I like Travis Scott. Or and maybe not so much for Weezer, because if you present it with Travis Scott first and then you're showing Weezer, you'd be like, what the fuck's this? Why are they in here? But like, you know what I mean?
I'd go and see Weezer over Travis Scott.
I would, but that is because we listened to Tony Hawk first we played Tony Hawk before we played Fortnite, probably.
Yeah, well, I was just going to make sort of roughly the same point. Yeah, it's like the way that Tony Hawk was like sort of part of the fabric of, part of the zeitgeist of the time.
Yeah,
is the same way that like Fortnite and stuff is now. Like it is just that equivalent, and but they are actively looking to promote music through that, and I totally think that's rooted in the Tony games for sure. Definitely, I think it was the first to like really sort of connect to real world culture. Not like, because games like Zelda and Pokemon and stuff like that, they were big because they were their own worlds. They were like their own thing, and it was like, oh, you go to be a part of that world. However, Tony was sort of really sort of ingrained in the real world at that time. It's like I can go and watch Tony on the X Games, then I can also go and play Tony Hawk's, and I can also listen to the bands that are on that soundtrack on telly. It's just genius. The timing I think was so key.
The timing, because he nailed the 900, didn't he? He nailed the 900 for the first time. I mean, you can dispute if he was the first guy to do a 900 or whatever, but that happened like a couple of months before Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out, and this Scott Pease guy I was chatting to, he said they had to change like the cover art last minute and put the special move in the game. Yeah, like because this was like, and it just with the X Games, like everything, it was just it was like it was meant to happen. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I've got to ask you guys as well then. Favorite Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game and favorite Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtrack don't necessarily have to be the same.
Go first, Big Out.
Okay. My favorite in the series, I think I've already said it, but is Tony Hawk's Underground. I love the story mode in it. I thought the story was great, coming from a nobody and ended up being one of the best skaters in the world. And my favorite soundtrack, it's either the first one or like, I think 3 and 4 had pretty good soundtrack. I'd say my favorite soundtrack might have been, it's between 1 and 3 for me. Yeah. Wait, was it 3? Did 3 have San Francisco? Did 3 have the San Francisco level where you could like look out to Alcatraz through the
That was four.
viewfinders.
That was four. That was four.
Ah,
That
it
was
was four
tall,
then.
wasn't it? That was 4 out of 6 soundtrack. That was well, that was the biggest one because it got bigger and bigger, didn't they?
Yeah. I think was that the one with Motorhead on? Was Motorhead on 4 or was Motorhead 3? Or
We will. I'm not going to tell you because
okay.
we're gonna play a fun little game
in a bit.
in a couple of minutes, and we're gonna test your knowledge. But West, what about you?
I would say 4 is probably my favorite one, closely followed by 2. I don't really have many memories about the third one, but favorite song off all of it, I've been bigging up Superman quite a lot by Goldfinger, but then I do remember that when I played 4, I turned every other song off other than All My Friends Are Metalheads by Less Than Jake, and that was the only song off the entire soundtrack that I'd play. So I'd play the game for hours.
You could tailor the playlist, couldn't you? And you could turn. I forgot about
in the later
that.
games, so you could like literally just have what you wanted. So I just had that song on repeat constantly.
I would go for. Well, I put a poll out for this, and I think only like fucking 26 people responded to something, but everybody said Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which I was listening, obviously putting this quiz together, which is going to be a lot of fun. I was looking through all of the soundtracks, and I think, in my opinion at least, I'd say 2 has got the weakest soundtrack. I think 1 and 2 kind of get the nostalgia clerk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of that. Whereas, like, I'd say for me, and just in terms of how they play, I don't think it's anywhere because 4, was it 3 or 4 that introduced flat landing?
I think it was 4 because I think 3 introduced
manuals.
reverts. I think manuals.
Revert, yeah.
Manuals came in 2. Reverts came in 3, and then 4. I think it was when they started doing like flatland and all that sort of stuff.
Doing handstands and hand flips and stuff just to rack up combos. So I'd say probably 4 for my favorite game, and then it is a very close tie between 3 and 4 for the best soundtrack. Again, just because those 2 games in particular introduced me to so many bands as a kid where I was like, right, I'm going to go to HMV, I'm going to buy this CD, like I'm just going to listen to this from start to finish on my Walkman, like just repeat kind of thing. And like AFI now, like all that All Hallows EP from AFI and that, is it Miseria Cantera or whatever, I've forgotten what, Sing the Sorrow is the album.
That's
such a
is
banging
sick.
album. Don't have a fucking clue what the vocalist is singing at half the time, but it's still class.
I think was it 4 that had Spokesman by Goldfinger. Don't want to be a spokesman.
Redux. Get him back on.
Yeah, that's probably the second best Goldfinger song, to be fair, because of
both of which are featured in Tony Hawk's games.
Yeah.
Well, they've said, haven't they? I don't know if you've had time to watch that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater documentary that pretended I'm a Superman, but that John Feldman, is that the Goldfinger vocalist, I think?
Yeah.
Like he's in that, and he's like, whenever we played Superman back at the time, just seeing the response, like you'll probably have like, you'll know what it's like you've got, your audience has their favorite songs and stuff, and when you play those songs the audience goes wild. He was like, they played Superman for the first time after Tony Hawk's Pro Skater had come out, and everyone was just like this is like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
mental.
Like what is this? Kenny, you're gonna have to fuck off, mate, because you're gonna start knocking stuff over. Right. So, without further ado, shall we go in to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater DMCA free quiz?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you guys ready to play?
Yeah, do you want to explain the rules?
Yes, I certainly will. So, the way this is going to work is, due to the DMCA, we are unfortunately not allowed to play any music over the stream. So I will be reenacting a selection of songs from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtracks 1 to 4, because they are the best ones, with nothing but my mouth. It will be It will be Matt versus Ben. What I want from you guys is there is 3 points available. You're going to guess the track name. You're going to guess the artist. And you are also going to guess which Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game the song featured in. Right. And then at the end, we will choose a winner who will get the grand prize of absolutely fuck all. So,
wow, what a great gift.
Who would like to go first? Does anybody? I'll tell you what. Let's do this properly in the spirit of sport, considering we've just had the good old football game.
Oh, no.
Heads or tails, Ben?
Tails for Wales never fails, except against Denmark.
Right, so you're
going to the
tails.
maddest coin flip I've ever seen. What the fuck was that?
I forgot the video was on. I was doing that and just thinking, what have I just done?
Yeah, fucking two-hander. You juggling the fucker.
What are we on there? Is that tails?
Tails.
Wales never fails.
Oh, look at that focus.
Tails is.
Yeah.
Lions as well. Right, so let's go for it. Right. I'm gonna have to get a bit. I'm gonna have to watch my distance from the mic. You know what? I'm gonna switch over to Logic just to make sure I do not peak. Right.
Is it social distortion? Is it? Is it?
Right.
I love this song. I knew it.
Do you want some more?
I don't know it. I know the song. I could sing you the song, but I don't know who it's by.
Yeah.
It's not a nature to destroy itself. It's not the nature gonna kill itself.
I could sing you the song. I just don't know who it is or what it's called.
Oh, who is it?
Right,
is
so it is Blood Brothers by Papa Roach, and the game it featured on
I should have known it's Papa Roach.
So, no points for either of you there.
Going well.
West over to you.
Is that off? Wait,
right.
is that off 2? Is that off the second
two?
one?
Yeah.
He's already said 2. You're not having a point.
Oh, what? I didn't hear
right.
it. Fuck.
And just to let you know, because I'm not too familiar with all of these songs, this is not going to be a simple, I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm just going to fucking jump in at the bits I know.
Of course.
Extra fun.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Right, so, Wes, next song, you ready?
Yes.
Cool. And on the other side, there's something on the storm. Whoa, is that the same side that I'm building? I never know. Remember when the dance is so never. Remember when it's so never.
Oh, fucking pass. I'm just creasing too much. I don't even know.
Ben?
Is it? It's one of 2. I'm going to take a punt at. Pennywise. Is that Pennywise?
Right, it was. No, you are incorrect. It was The Boy Who Destroyed the World by AFI on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Which, to be fair, I probably could have done a better job of singing, if you can call it that.
I just remember the that was like, but then again, that could be Pennywise. That could be like a hand. That could be like pretty much any band from that era. Just
Right, here's an easy one. I'll tell you what, I'll do it poorly to make it a bit more difficult.
Oh.
Superman.
There we go.
You getting the easy one. The minute you said I'm going to do it a bit more poorly, instantly, Superman, Goldfinger.
Well, I thought. Well, if he's doing it poorly now, what were the other lot? Were they like the best? I was like,
Yeah, they
must
were
be
good.
really trying.
Which game? Which game for all 3 points?
Which game for all 3 points? That's off the first one. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1.
Yep, cool. He's got it. Right, West, you are up next.
I'm getting battered here.
What can I give you? Right, I've got it. I'm going to get Logic back up again so it don't peak.
I thought you were pulling the lyrics up.
Tell me what I wanna hear. I hear it all in my ears. And tell me, don't they don't? So I come on to my top.
Oh, that's it, yeah? That's the full song.
Do you need more? Do you need...
No, I haven't got a fucking clue.
I've got psycho vision.
Oh,
Come on, Wes. You need the points here.
I fucking know I do. I also need to know what the actual song is. Is the song called Psycho Vision by any chance? That's a point.
That's
isn't
crazy
it?
if it's not.
That's 1 point. That's 1
There
point.
we go.
Game?
Is it Tony Hawk's 2?
No.
Oh, fuck. I don't know then.
Band?
No idea. Passing it to Big O.
Bigger recovery?
I remember. God, Psycho Version. Is it off 3? Is it off
No.
Tony Hawk's 3? Bollocks.
Band?
I'm gonna say something like. It's not something daft. I'm gonna say something daft like 36 Crazy Fists or something. One of them probably like a bit sweaty maybe. No.
Psycho Vision by Suicidal Tendencies, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1.
Oh, fucking hell.
Right, Ben, it is over to you. I'm going to give you a weird one. I'm not going to give you another easy one. Right, let's do it. A train with a red driver.
Oh.
I know it.
I think I know it too.
Go on.
Is it Primus? Is it Primus?
Yes, it is.
Is it off Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2?
Oh, no.
Fuck! It's
Band,
Primus, but I don't know the song.
Right,
I
Wes,
do. Jerry was a race car driver from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1.
Here he is. You are right, Ben. You are 1 point ahead at this moment in time. Right, West. Are you ready?
I think.
Cool. Trying to. I don't want to give you an easy one because some of these are.
Mate, I've not had a fucking easy one yet.
Right. All right.
It's 96 Quite Bit of Ian's by CKY, but I don't know which game it's off. Is it 3?
Are you gonna guess?
Tony Hawk's 3?
There we go. Full 3 points.
Okay,
Nice.
let's go.
I remember that being on. That song is an absolute riff. Like
Yeah.
we did.
It's just one riff, innit?
It's amazing though. It's a hell of a riff. But we did Warped Tour with him. And he plays and sings that riff like it's nothing, and it's sick. It was so sick to just watch him do that every day. But I think that came in, that was when it started getting a bit CKY-ish. That's when it started getting like Jackass and Bam involved and shit.
Is it Bam Margera's brother who drums for CKY?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And on that tour, actually, we met Bam.
No.
Fucking
Yeah.
What was he like? Tanner?
He was alright. He was sound. He was a tanner. Yeah, he was coming on our bus looking for bevs when I think he shouldn't have, and we were sort of like,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
What do you want,
you
sir?
can have a bev. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
your choice. But yeah, he chatted to us for like 10 minutes on the bus, just like told us a few stories and that. And I didn't want to mention Jackass because I was like, I don't know if bit of a sore subject, but I was like,
Yeah,
I'm a huge
fair.
fan. And you're a great skater. I mentioned the skater, and he was like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, he was in his purple Lambo as well, and his mum and dad were there. It was great.
I remember walking back from catering, and you were all on the bus, and I'd walked past his car on the way to like getting food, and I was like, wouldn't it be mad if we met him today? And I literally opened the bus door, and he was just sat down having a beer, and I was like, what the fuck is going on in here?
West
This
is
is
just
so odd.
manifested BAM.
I know.
Any more bands that come up, I want to hear similar stories to that because that's fucking hilarious. Right. Who just went?
Me.
It was West, so it's me now, yeah.
I'm a couple of beers in now. I'm getting pretty tanned. Right. Ben, your go then. Right. I'm going to stand the hell away from the mic for this. Right. Are you ready? This is a, yeah.
Okay.
My Adidas.
Is it something daft? Is it
I think we need to hear it again.
yeah, can we get one more?
My Adidas.
Is it?
It's the only bit I know from the song.
I don't know. I'm gonna take a punt at the Dead Kennedys or something like that. I'm thinking, or like Napalm Death. They did like a. I'm gonna say Death. Is it Dead Kennedys? I'm gonna say Dead Kennedys.
No. West.
I've got a fucking clue. For how much we love these games, fucking nothing on the soundtrack.
The thing is, they're all ringing bells. They're all like, oh, I know that, but then it's not. Yeah.
That was Run DMC, My Adidas on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Hence the opening line, My Adidas.
Oh.
It just reminded me of that Napalm Death song. What's it called?
You suffer what lies. That's it. That's the whole song.
Yeah.
Right. Right. West, over to you.
Lights. Now. I am an Antichrist. I am an Antichrist. Don't know what I want, but I know how to get it. I want to destroy.
Carry on.
That's actually a pretty good impression.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was pretty good.
You could fill in for him. It's the Sex Pistols.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is it Anarchy in the UK?
Yep. And finally, the game.
Oh.
There he is. Oh. Right. You are now double in the lead. Ben. I'm going to chuck
West
you
is double in the lead.
Yeah. I'm going to chuck you a good one there.
Okay.
Bit of red stripe first.
Let me just right. Don't be late for school again, boy.
Oh shit! I thought it was something else. I thought it was gonna be Ace of Spades by Motorhead, and then I was like, no, it's not. It's not that.
Ace of Spades.
It's not. No, it's not. No, it's not that. That's not my guess. That's not my guess. Because when you started doing the, I was like, oh, maybe he's like doing the, but no, it was definitely not that. Fuck. Have you got any idea, Wes?
I know the band. I don't know the song or the game. I think I know the game, actually.
Go on, then.
Is it System of a Down, Tony Hawk's 3?
4, so I'm going to give you 1 point. Shimmy. Shimmy, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4.
Oh.
Right. West, over to you. Right, I'll give you an hard one now.
I don't know. Give it to Ben. I'm gonna fucking play.
Is it Dropkick Murphys? Is it one? Is it? No. Ah, fuck. I know it's
Close.
one of them. Like, is it one of them?
I'm gonna give you another shot. So you're kind of there. There's not many
I know
other...
it's one of them like sailory ones that they had. It's either that or it's
the band name.
Oh, go on then, West. It was yours anyway.
No. What were you? That one actually. No. Go on.
Is it Flogging Molly?
Go on, West.
There we go. Yeah.
I don't know what the song is.
Game.
Is it from Tony Hawk's 4 though? Because I remember there being like some sort of weird sailory one in that.
Gonna give that to Ben.
All right, cool.
Only fair.
I remember there being like a weird like sailor Irish punk thing in that one. Yeah.
Right. Back over to Ben. Right.
Okay.
Again, I'm just gonna. Aye. See me right out of at sunset. Oh, on the TV screen. now. If you know what I mean. Women to the left of me. Women to the right. You gotta guess the song right now if you want your 3 points. Because
Nice.
The song is
it Kiss? Is it? Is it? No?
No.
That sounded exactly like Kiss. That could have been a Kiss song.
I must have
Who is
been
it?
practicing. Go on.
Guess the song
I was
then.
going to say,
I'm
I
going to
want to
let
rock
you
and
guess
roll
the
all
song
night.
and they get...
It's AC/DC TNT from Tony Hawk's 4.
Oh, fuck, that's it.
Is that
I
right?
thought it was Kiss, because there was I Want to Rock and Roll on the same one. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not a massive... Yeah, fair.
I mean,
Right.
TNT. Yeah. Terrible. But you did sound a lot like Kiss then. And the only lyric
Thank
I
you.
got of it from it was women to my left or something. So I was like, that's kissing, isn't it? It's just talking about shagging.
Right, West, you're gonna get a tricky one here. Right. Brown, 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 brown. Hey, Mac, your funk, I'm gonna get your daddy beer and do us all a favor and get your funk ass out of here. I think my son retarded, likes to read, not watch TV. He never plays no football with his kids across the street. Hey, mom, your dad, your sports great, if it's such an apple man. We touch each other off the field, it just becomes a sin. Well, I understand you think I'm soaked, I don't wanna be like you. Because of you and mommy, it's what I was born to do.
no idea. No idea. I just wanted to hear you sing. I've got a
I
fucking
don't wanna
clue.
give a shit. Don't know it? Alright, cool. Ben, over to you.
It's a punky one. I'm just gonna take a punt at. It's not Offspring. I'm gonna say like Pennywise or
Nope.
Take a punt at
Game.
Pennywise.
Game.
2? Tony Hawk's 2?
Nope, it was I'm Destroying the World by Guttermouth, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Oh.
Right,
We're fucking shit at this, aren't we?
Ben,
Yeah.
Ben, over to you.
Okay. Who the Yeah, I know it. Oh,
Don't say I told you so. Don't say
Is it,
you'll never know. You're not the same.
you changed. Oh, we fucking talked about this literally earlier. Oh my god, my brain is a sieve. Hold on, give me just a sec to get that back in. Was it? No, it's gone. It's gone, and I can't even remember the track. But I'll say it's off. Tony 1. It's off the first one. No. Second one?
Over to what? No. you can't just count through them all.
Third
until
one?
you get
Fourth
the-
one?
Body jar, you're not the same Tony Hawk's 3.
Yep, 3 points for West. Ben, you are getting dominated, Ben.
Mate, my brain is so bad for it. I'm not good with details. I'm good with not much actually. I'm not that good at anything.
West.
Ready
Against the Machine, Guerrilla Radio, Tony Hawk's 2.
You got it.
What? I knew that one. That was the only one I knew. I feel like Mark.
Say it again.
Rage Against the Machine.
Go on, Wes.
Yeah.
Guerrilla Radio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah. 3 point.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. I feel like Mark, you know, like that episode of Peep Show when they're playing the like thingy game and he's just like the Beatles. Hot chips.
Right. Ben.
Do we do this as the last round?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a victory lap for you then, West.
We'll do 2 more. Let's just do another 20 minutes of this. I'm loving it. Right. We've got 2 more then. Let me choose these cards then. Right, I've got it. I don't know the lyrics, so I'm just going to make them up. The night was black. I see my heart. And I hit the demon in the beast is the demon not that I called. And what I saw could I never see. 'Cause I saw the demon is the beast is the number of the beast.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for the hint there. I
saw the demon of the beast, it's the number of the beast, oh my lord.
Is it Iron Maiden?
Yeah.
Number of the Beast, 666, Number of the Beast, whatever. Is that what the song's called? I know it's Maiden.
Yeah. Game.
Alright, Maiden, 666, Number of the Beast. Oh shit, is that... Ooh. I'm going to say 3?
West.
4.
Good. Right. Last one. This is...
4 had a lot of like classic rock on it, didn't it?
Yeah.
4 had AC/DC, Kiss, Maiden. Damn, okay.
Right. Here we go. Down the York, down the York, down the York, down the York.
I am a scientist in my lab, looking through a microscope. What they want, I don't know. No.
Is it
Tony
Dead Kennedy's
Hawk.
Amoeba from Tony Hawk's 1?
Ooh, right. So the song name is Amoeba.
I've got the rest of it wrong though.
I'm going to pass that to Ben. So I'm going to give you 1 point for that.
Is it? It's either. I think. Is it the Descendants? Amoeba? No. Or is it the Germs?
Ish. In terms of vibe, I'm going to give you 1 more.
One more crack at it. So it's not Dead Kennedys, not Descendants, not the Germs. Oh, is it?
You're in the right genre and era.
Yeah. Is it? Is it Pennywise? Is it Pennywise?
Adolescence.
Fuck.
Game.
No. It's on GTA as well. It's on GTA
Game.
5 as well. But the game, I'd say, is it 2?
3.
Oh,
Fuck
didn't know
me,
that.
man.
So, at the end, how do you both think you did?
Maybe 5 points, I think, if that.
I don't feel I did very well. I feel that we're currently on a podcast that's meant to be about music and video games, and we know fuck all about both, apparently. So.
Right, West, you got 23 points. Ben, you got a humble 8.
Better than
West, I do declare you the winner of the DMCA free Tony Hawk's Pro Skater guess that track minigame.
Wow.
Congratulations, how did it feel?
Fantastic. I can't wait for the trophy in the post.
And we hope you all enjoyed playing at home, and we hope you all recognised those tracks from the absolutely fantastic, if I do say so myself, renditions. I am available for hire at a reasonable hourly rate of 90 per hour.
Oh, fucking hell.
So,
90 per hour? I'm a fucking comedian now.
90 for the night.
Journalist.
No, per hour.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Not
Right.
for the night.
should we call it there then? I think we've chatted some fantastic patties. It's been great. Honestly, I love chatting. I love hearing other people talk about how important these games have been, because they are like you were saying, like timing, the quality of the games themselves, like just well done Neversoft, well done Neversoft and Activision.
Round of applause.
Definitely.
Someone edit in a round of applause here, please. Not just the three of us clapping, a proper one underneath us talking. Congrats. Yeah, cool.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for having me as well. Really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
coming on.
Anytime to talk about games. Like, I love Tony Hawk's, but I love I'm mostly an RPG guy, so if you do a little RPG deep dive on at some point, I'll throw my 2 cents into that.
West is begging for that. West is begging for that RPG deep
Ombler's in
dive.
charge. We've got to get some decent episodes under the belt before I fucking go on a 5-hour episode.
Right, Monster Hunter, stay with me. Fucking brilliant game.
Really good. Complete history
Stay
from
with
number
me,
one
stay
through
with
every
me.
portable game to now.
Right.
Oh, God.
Well, Ben, thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute
Thanks for having
pleasure. And once again, thank you so much to everyone at home for listening. If you haven't already, please find us on Twitter and Instagram at loading_podcast. And yeah, thank you very much.